In my last video that I made, I talked a little bit about what when you ask for firewood, that the universe or God or whatever you want to call it gives you a storm sometimes, and how that metaphor fits to life in a way. Well, I was reading a book. I'm reading about a book a week because I drive. Well, I'm listening to books while I drive from and towards work, which is about 1.5 hours a day. So I am able to listen to about a book a week. So I'm consuming a lot of books at the moment, which is really nice if you ask me. I'm learning a lot, and I'm reading. I call it reading because it's books, but I'm listening to, whatever you want to call it. Some people are offended if I call it listening to. Call it reading because they say it's not reading, it's listening to. Well, I consume them for the information, so to me it's the same thing, but each his own. Right now I'm I'm consuming a book called Reclaiming the Common Good. The Commons for the Common Good. Reclaiming the Commons for the Common Good. It is written by Heather Menzies, and she is a lady that goes look. She has written a lot of books, interesting books that I'm planning on consuming as well. She has a lot of knowledge about the commons and the commoners, and she goes to revisit her ancestral place in the Highlands of Scotland, where they lived like commoners. And like commoners nowadays is a little bit of a dirty word. It sounds a little bit dirty, it sounds like simple people. But in this book she explains that not that long ago, a couple of generations ago, and even 2 generations ago, it was closer to that than it is now. People used to live with the land more, and not just with their own land, but with the common land. There was a lot of things that were considered common goods, like the air you breathe is a common good. It is still a common good for now. The water we drink is being privatized, but it used to be a common good also. So how it was is that a bunch of families lived in a small village, and there was common land, and those common lands had trees on it, and if you needed a tree, you could take from the common good what you needed, and it was a self-governing system. So people took what they needed, but they never took too much, and if they did, they would I wouldn't say punishment, but there were freeloaders, of course, that took more than they needed, but it would be solved within the commune, within that village, and people had common fields on which their animals grazed, or had a common field on which they had a strip where they grew their potatoes for their family. And a lot of things that sometimes we still say common sense, right? Well, there were a lot of things that were back then common sense, like we talk about regenerative agriculture right now, that we put back into the land instead of just taking from it, just extracting from the land. And these people, these commoners, for them it was common sense to put back into the land as you take, because they knew that it's logical that if you just take, at some point you're gonna exhaust the land and you cannot use it anymore. So there was a very different view, and in just a couple of generations we now seem to have completely forgot that it is not sustainable to just take and extract from everything. And yet that is how our system is now within such a short period of time. That is the thing that stuck with me the most. And living here, living like this, makes me realize, has made me notice that you cannot do it alone. I thought I would move into the forest like this and just be in the forest alone, pretty much, and not needing anybody. I wanted quiet and solitude. But if you have had that for a while, or if you live like this for a while, then you notice that you need people, and not just need people, but also want to need people. For example, I have last time I had that tree. Last video I had that tree that fell down, and I have a small motor saw. And then under the last video, Herman, who has been very generous in a lot of ways, offered to take his saw and come here to saw the rest of it, which he did. And now I have next year's firewood pretty much set, which is awesome. And common sense is also helping each other in that way. But it is not common sense anymore. We are all on our own islands and trying to save our own skin and create some sort of gain for ourselves. And to me, living here, I'm meeting more and more people that has the same sort of vision, and that also want to go back to that feeling of common sense, to share knowledge, to share materials, to share. I have met Marcus, who's Swedish, and he has lived there all his life, and he lives the kind of life that we're working towards, and he offered to share his knowledge, and he wants to pass his knowledge on to the next generation, if you want to call it that way, so it doesn't get lost. And I'm meeting here, close to here, people that want to start a closed system where, with micro producers, that someone does veggies and someone is a hairdresser and someone is a painter, and you trade goods for service and service for goods, and the other way around, to recreate that sense of commune, common commune. And I'm starting to learn that that is something really valuable, and it might be the answer to the separation that we have right now. Everything in our society, if you turn on the news, is about separation. It's about men against women, Jews against Palestinians. Everything is war, and everything is against each other. And we're losing our common sense. We have lost our common sense for a big part. And that has worried me for a long time, even though I couldn't really put my finger on it. I couldn't really figure out what it was that worried me so much. And now I'm slowly starting to learn, by seeing a possible solution, what the actual problem is. Which is that we're losing our common sense. We're losing the connection with each other, and we just look at the news and at social media and see that become more separated. There's so many lonely people in the sitting at home. In the world, did you know that every minute a man, I know it, the numbers for men, commits suicide? Because they just cannot handle it anymore. They are worried about money, about bills, about daily life. And life right now is waking up in the morning in the dark. Now the winter is coming. Waking up in the dark, going to your job in your car. Then you get paid at the end of the month. You pay all your bills, of which a big part is the house you live in, the electricity you use, the food you eat, and the car you drive to get you to work, to make money so you can put it right back into that car. And I don't think that is the way it should be. I think we fell addicted to that whole thing. If you need if you buy something in the supermarket with the money that you earned by going to your office job somewhere, that is so far apart. I work at an office of an interior designer. So that means that the money that I get has been made by lamps that has been made in China, that has been designed in Scandinavia somewhere, that has been sold to whatever, the Netherlands, Germany, all over the world, sometimes even back to China. Then I get that money, I go to the supermarket, I buy potatoes that come from Germany or whatever, and I take them home and I eat them here on the place where I could just grow potatoes. And if one of those links falls away, then all of a sudden we don't have food anymore. So there's so many steps, and we're so reliant on all those steps, that it has become some sort of addiction that we think we cannot live without it anymore. And the more books I read about this topic and the more people I meet, the more I realize that a lot of people feel this way, and a lot of people would love to go back to common sense. And I haven't figured it out, all of it yet. But I'm getting closer and closer, and I see that it still exists. People are good in general. I've met a lot of wrong people in my life, but in general, people are good, but they're just scared of each other and they don't let each other in anymore, because you have to keep your guard up all the time. And I'm doing the same thing. But slowly, I'm starting to meet people again that seem real, and that is really, really gives me hope for the future, not just for me, but for people, that we're not so reliant on this system anymore, so we can go back to common sense, because it's still there. Well, that's my 2 cents on this book that I read. Got me into it a little bit deeper, and I'll put the link in the description if you wanna read it or something. To be honest, I'm trying to figure out how I can make that an affiliate link, so that if someone buys it through that link, I get a commission or something. I haven't figured it out yet. So it can be that if you buy it through there that I get a commission. Can be that I don't. Anyway, it would cost the same for you. So, but just so you know, I want to be honest about that. If you have any cool ideas about this, or book recommendations, or things that I should see, documentaries, whatever, put it in the comments or send me a message, because I really think it's really interesting, and I think that people all over the world should connect in this way, and we should start forming a front of like-minded people. Okay. Hope to see you next time on the next video. And maybe I'm gonna do this more. Like, it's winter's coming, so I'm not gonna. It's a different time of year, so we're doing different stuff. And I think maybe it's interesting to do some videos like this every now and then. If you enjoy that, then that would be cool if you watch. Okay. Well, thanks for watching this time at least. And see you next time. Hey do.